the Melodious Sea. Days pass on the seemingly endless sea, and Thorelf's crew is becoming uneasy, for they are pursued by crazy men, and their ship is headed to who knows where. Yet they are dedicated to the task at hand, sailors to the last. Percevale's crew is also wary, but he senses this and raises a challenge to them.
Behind lies death, ahead lies the unknown. Merlin proved to me that the world is not flat, and Patrick the Holy Man has confirmed it. Do not fear. The world is round like a ball.
We sail on a doomed ship. Once a knight makes a pledge, it cannot be revoked.
Thorelf's crew begins to place a higher value on their lives, but continues to row. They pull away from their relentless shadows through days and nights of endless sweat and toil, taking them farther and farther out into the unforgiving sea. Blind rage is upon Thorelf's face as he looks at the maidens and surmises that they are the cause of his ill fortune. Calmly, "My luck, such as it was, has run out." Melody rises calmly, preparing to reach for the dagger on her leg, so that Thorelf may follow her into death. Evie stands also. Thorelf walks toward Evie and Melody with sword in hand. But Melody begins to sing, as always she did in the face of danger. Her song reaches the once unfeeling hearts of the evil crew and searches their souls for the love hidden so long by hate. Singing. The face of Thorelf, one that had been so commanding, is now a mask of despair, but fury is still in his eyes. A sudden lunge by him sends Evie and Melody to the deck. But from the throats of the crew comes a hoarse growl, low and menacing. Thorelf grips his sword, but then he hesitates and the crew stands in Thorelf's path. They will not allow such a beautiful song to be stilled forever by death's smothering hand, for although dressed in rough clothes and sprawled unconscious on the deck, Melody is still as graceful and inspiring as the new moon. At last the crew know true beauty and goodness, and it feels good. There is almost a mutiny, but Thorelf cuts down the crew's leader. However, Thorelf does not dare to cut Melody or Evie down, and they live, as does Thorelf. For it is a standoff and the voyage resumes with Thorelf, mighty Sea King, now something of an outcast among his men, but still in control. Melody's song is so vibrant and so intimate that it is picked up by the birds and taken far on the wing, from where it is carried by the breeze to the hearts of knights and squires, whence it finds its way to breath, and thence back to song on the lips of men. A song so joyful as if no one had written it but life itself, because after all, a song belongs to everyone.
Do you hear it, men?
Joy's the King of Britain, and her song rings in their souls.
We hear it. We drink the music from her ruby lips. It touches a sympathetic string in our spirits.
Then take the clue and bear to the south from whence it comes.
the days after King Arthur, on the endless sea. The sky is dark at night on the endless sea, but eternity's lights shine brightly in the utter blackness. At night they must navigate by the stars to keep their heading to the south. There is Arcturus, orange, and anchoring the spring kite. Regulus is upon high in the very heart of the lion. Spica rises in the east, an ear of wheat in the hand of the virgin Virgo. Red Betelgeuse sets in the west. Gemini's two eyes peer over the horizon. The winter cross is setting.
Farewell to winter and hail to the spring.
Have you a favorite star, Percevale?
I have two Hargrave Betelgeuse in Orion and Antares in the Scorpion.
But the Scorpion bit Orion and they are enemies.
Yes, Hargrave, and so the gods have separated them, placing them in opposite parts of the heavens. It is now impossible for them to be in the sky at the same time. And so I am always guaranteed to have a favorite star in the sky at any given time of the year.
At night I open up the heavens vault, my safety deposit box of valuable stars, one of whose plan contains all my wealth. Can really own a star? Yes, if it is one's favorite star, mine is Betelgeuse in Orion, a large dying red giant. The fourth planet contains unlimited amounts of gold, silver, platinum, diamonds, and many other rare crystals. And it's all mine now. I've chosen to leave my wealth right there. If I brought it here, someone might try.
To the New World.
I could have done away with Thorelf that time when he washed up on a river island after the river boar on the Severn destroyed his fleet, but I thought that I sensed some good in him. I was wrong. The good are at a disadvantage in such situations, since there is always hope for rehabilitation of evil men, but I suppose that I am wiser now and no longer believe this.
Well, at least good men can put trust in other good men, but the evil man cannot trust other evil men, for they must be always on their guard.
Land ho! There is a land of vines to the west. Perhaps our enemy lands there. For lack of a better name, let's christen it Vineland.
They begin the tedious process of searching the coast with all of its inlets.
If Thorelf has sunk his boat and gone inland, we'll never find him, but then again, he is a sea king now, is he not? And so he will attempt to master us at sea.
A day goes by without success and hearts are sinking, for now all may be lost as valuable time is taken to search the shores. Then even worse happens. The voyage has been a strain on Taliesin's ship, and the mainsail finally can take no more and rips down the center.
What a setback! The trail is to be lost again.
The ship limps to shore on its side sails. Tender and supple vines are gathered and the long repair effort begins.
Desperately, we must climb that mountain. It meets the sea. Perhaps we can find a sign from its highest point.
Yes, Sir Percival, we will follow you. There must be something up there.
We can't give up now. Let's move quickly.
The last streaks of gray are fading from the sky, and they still can see no sign of their quarry.
We've been searching for hours. Is there no end to this darkness?
The men stand dejected, each alone with his own thoughts, embraced only by the blackness of the night of loneliness.
I can't believe we haven't found anything. It's as if the world itself is hiding from us.
We must hold on to hope. There has to be something out there, somewhere.
In the silence, the weight of their quest presses down on them, but the flicker of hope still lingers in their hearts. But then a light is seen, for Evie has managed to set Thorelf's ship on fire and make it look like an accident by tilting a lantern precariously deep within the ship. It is eventually doused, but the crew is alarmed, and they again sail out into the sea as the currents carry them south and away from Vineland. But the mighty Viking flagship is crippled and must soon land somewhere. Our good ship follows like the day follows the night. A week passes. All ships begin to run out of water. The thirst begins to affect Percevale's crew and they cry out for a drink.
Press on as he studies a scrap of the old sea maps from Thule written in the hand of one he can trust.
But there is land to the west, a newfound land. The birds come from that way, points one of the crew.
We dare not stop now, even though we are near the coast of a new land. Thorelf will not stop either. I know that man well now.
And for lack of a better name, the newly found land is to be called Newfoundland and to be just as quickly forgotten. They sail on. In the days after King Arthur. Fresh water.
Get me a drink of water from over the side of the ship.
My God, it is fresh.
We've got them now. For this fresh water flows out to sea, and the current will stand against their mighty rowers. We sail in a monstrous river into the heart of the New World.
We sail in a monstrous river into the heart of the New World. Some days pass, and finally Thorelf's fire-disabled ship comes into sight. The once mighty Viking flagship is coming apart at the seams.
The English king is a sorcerer. How does he know my every move?
But Thorelf, not knowing that the water is fresh, must land ashore. Besides, his ship is nearly sinking. A great island presents itself. Thorelf rams his vessel onto the shore to gain time to set up an attack. On shore, he sets up with his men to make a stand. But when the English ship also comes crashing ashore, he thinks better of it and deserts his men and runs into the woods, carrying his 2 battle axes, one in his hand, the other on his belt.
He's abandoning us. To the woods, quickly.
In the time after King Arthur, death amid truth and beauty. The maidens are taken into the care of the squires, or perhaps it is the other way around, and most of Thorelf's men lay down their arms. The remainder are sent to the stead of the dead at Hell's Gate. Evie points the way of Thorelf, and Percevale runs into the woods after his nemesis. Revenge seems out of place now as the fresh winds make love to the flowers of May and the woodlands sing with joy. But Thorelf has brought death to many and must be taken. Thorelf climbs a cliff hill to his last battlefield. He thinks himself free at last, but looks down and sees the resolute figure of the English king steadily mounting the hill after him. The first battle axe is thrown down the hill and it knocks Percival's shield away. They reach the edge of the cliff together. Beyond is the new world in all its spring beauty, and far below the waters pound against the cliffside in fury. The terrible roar of the maelstrom fills their ears. They stand but 20 feet apart, eyeing each other and catching their breath. Percevale draws his sword from its scabbard and Thorolf takes his remaining battle axe from his belt. Thorolf, mighty chief of all the Vikings, has never stepped back from any man, but the English king has pursued him relentlessly, and it has given Thorolf much to think about. Percevale begins to walk toward him, but suddenly stops and looks at the fear-haunted figure. Can this be the mighty sea warrior of lore and legend? Thorolf's life flashes before him as he realizes its folly and its meaninglessness. Thorolf assigns and takes his penance bravely, his first and last noble deed of his life. For the first time in his life, Thorolf steps back from an adversary and so is taken into the crashing sea below. He screams on the way down into the yawning chasm, and his soul takes the opportunity to attempt an escape. The consuming flame from hell's fire ascends, a deadly flambeau light, and licks at the soul that tried to flee eternity's treadmill, and soon that soul is pierced by the burning spear of hell's master. Now Percevale stands alone amid all of the terrible grandeur of the scene, drained of all the high resolve, that flaming determination that had led him halfway around the unknown world. For the impossible quest has succeeded and has come to an end. But the contest has not gone unnoticed. An Indian squaw, a runner of the woods, takes the news to her tribe. Savages. Evie relates of how Thorolf's crew came to the aid of the maidens when Thorolf threatened the maidens, and so Percevale lessens their sentence.
They have certainly sought to do us harm, but they have now found goodness, so their punishment is not death or captivity, but banishment. So let them live and settle the new land, never to set foot in the old world again.
A shelter is constructed and they begin to make repairs to their ship, for it is a long way home. Suddenly, one morning, they are surrounded by near-naked savages with their arrows and stone spears and hatchets poised at them. The men seem to be red with anger, for this is their island. How sad for our crew to have come halfway around the world, only to find death. Bogar has an idea. He stands forth, ready to take their arrow in his hidden coat of mail.
The red men will think him a god when the arrow bounces away, unless it catches him where he has no mail. But this is the germ of a better plan.
Percevale holds up his hand, as if it will stop the assault, which, curiously, it does, and asks that Melody be brought out of the shelter.
Bring Melody out of the shelter.
She appears, and the red men fall to their knees, for they have never seen blonde hair before, and they think her a sun goddess. Gawain now cements the alliance by giving them Thorelf's gleaming metal axe and a fine-crafted longbow as a gift. It is well appreciated, for all the red men had were stone axes and simple stick bows. Peace is made and a breakfast feast begins. Sweets and friends. Now, it said poetically in the journal, we roam at ease, drink sweets in every flower and feel balm in every breeze, threading the lovely radiant web of life that affection's finger weaves so finely. This way, now that way, around and about with friends, knights, squires, and maidens. And all now sit on freedom's great throne, snuggling deep into each other's being and drinking draughts of life's delight.
What shall we call this great island? I'm getting tired of these simplistic names that we've been assigning to places.
How about Quebec City after the Indian chief?
Fine, and so it shall be ever known. In the time after King Arthur, return.
Well, we can't go back the way we came because the winds and currents will be against us. But since we are so far south anyway, I think that we but need to go a little further south, and we shall find a wind-backed route at lower latitude. However, there are no islands on my map, so we must load plenty of extra water.
They do so and depart. They soon find storms pushed by the great wind, and darkness reigns for weeks. Suddenly a great light fills the sky, seemingly emanating from an eye-like beacon which is too bright to look at directly, too bright for mortal eyes. Indeed, the penalty for looking at God is blindness.
What is it?
The Grail?
No, Combs Bogart, it is just the sun. Had you forgotten it?
And the great orb of day careens majestically along the zodiac as the good ship continues its long voyage home. Below the waves lies the sunken land of Atlantis, the land of the Celts' forefathers. Several weeks pass, and the badly battered vessel limps toward the Irish coast, a coast infested with pirates. It is not long until a pirate ship spots its prey, Percevale's vessel, and starts to close on the apparently hapless vessel. It is written in the chronicles that the Crimson Spear had been lost overboard in a storm during the voyage, and that it now rests and rusts in the depths of the all-consuming sea. So, although Percevale is without his best weapon, there are many tricks known to the sailor. A bucket of charcoal is launched on a string toward the pirate vessel. Then an arrow is shot into the charcoal package, and soon the pirate vessel is in flames, now having learned the power of Greek fire. Landfall is made in Ireland, where a toast is made. For you, my friend, and you, my friend, and all of us together. Here's a toast to life and to laughter and song. Good cheer, my friend, good cheer, my friend, through every kind of weather. Take the bells and ring as we sing loud and strong. We're up to throwing steins again with foam on every lip. We'll give it a go and shout Yavo. Here with friends we drink, and let the world wait. May we drink to love all our livelong days. It is a short way now, from Ireland to England.
Percival, I believe this belongs to you.
We are home. They pass the golden vales, the romantic hills abound, and suddenly crowned turret and tower rise. A brave city of marvel lies ahead, gleaming in the skies. Camelot!
Well, I'll be damned. Here comes the ghost again, the vagabond, the snow yet streaking your hair. You burst on the scene, already a knightly legend, then you strayed into my heart.
And there I intend to stay.
It all comes back so clearly. I love you dearly.